Drag racing, drive-by shootings, and robberies. Those are just some of the crimes that Police Chief C.J. Davis says are being committed in stolen cars across the city. In a public forum last week, Chief Davis announced the early success of the Auto Theft Task Force.
They have been very successful in identifying auto thieves, arresting auto thieves, and recovering vehicles. Hundreds of vehicles have been recovered, but unfortunately what we want to do is stop vehicles from being stolen in the first place.
She says another job of this task force is keeping an eye on the interstate racing and shootings, and it's been successful thus far. In fact, Davis says this year to date, we're about 40% down in interstate shootings. But for Memphians, it's little comfort knowing that auto thefts and carjackings are still at a high.
I think it's awful. That's why they steal cars to commit another crime. So I think it's bad.
Brandon Johnson struck out the side in the 9th inning Sunday to complete an unlikely run to Ole Miss's first baseball national championship. It sparked a celebration that stretched from Omaha to Oxford.
We're so proud. We just can't quit running.
A day later, the Rebel faithful welcomed the winners home to Oxford, where else but the Walk of Champions on campus.
Oh man, it feels amazing. It feels like a football game day. Everybody's out here supporting in the Grove, and it's just electric. And I'm really proud we did it and brought it back for the city.
The Rebels were one of the last teams to get a berth into the College World Series, but once the playoffs began, they were nearly unstoppable. They won 10 of 11 games, including a 2-game championship series sweep over Oklahoma.
It's amazing to witness this. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be epic.
We just want to let them know that they have made Ole Miss so very proud.
These folk beefing with people down the street, next street over, stuff like that, it's gonna go on. But what can we do?
Residents in the North Memphis Hollywood community responded to gunfire breaking out in their neighborhood early Thursday afternoon. Many I spoke with say sadly this is the norm, and when they heard several people were shot, they told me they weren't shocked by the news.
This Goodwill Village, I don't think none of it.
It's not none big. Well, to us it's not none big. It's something we see all the time.
Police were called to Cavalier Court Apartments, also known as Goodwill Village, after 2:30 Thursday afternoon in response to gunshots in the area. Fox 13 recently learned 3 people were shot, 2 of them minors.
Do you get tired of this kind of stuff happening in your community?
Of course, we got kids. Like these 2 front buildings, we got kids over here. So, of course, but we can't control it.
While the 2 minors are listed in non-critical condition, at last check, police say the adult was taken to Regional 1 Hospital in critical condition.
It's sad. They got shot. That was mine. They being walked to the store.
In this divorce document, the wife of Memphis Shelby County School Superintendent Dr. Juris Ray states that he participated in extramarital affairs with at least 3 women. Now, Dr. Ray's wife states there is a non-disclosure agreement with one of the women in 2004. That's when Ray was an assistant principal with Memphis City Schools. His wife explains how other school district staff set up and participated in meetups with women outside of his marriage. Ray's wife says the superintendent went on out-of-town trips with 2 of the women named in the filing. Ray's wife says she can present evidence to the court showing Delta plane tickets to Atlanta with the superintendent's name on it and one of the women named in the filing. She can also present the handwritten non-disclosure after a sexual encounter with another woman named in the document from 2004. Now, there are questions about how these relationships may have been handled under the school district's policy on amorous relationships. According to the district's employee handbook, the district strongly discourages romantic or sexual relationships between a manager or other supervisory employee and their staff. It also says if any employee enters into a consensual relationship that is romantic or sexual in nature with a member of their the parties must notify the senior management of the department and the chief of HR. Now, the handbook says the chief of HR will review the situation and decide whether to move one or both people to another job or department. Now, we're going to continue to stay on top of this very much so developing story. I want you to stay with us all throughout.
We feel like we're abandoned. We feel like we don't have any help.
Thursday, MLGW shut off the water to all tenants living in the Pendleton Place apartment in Orange Mound. Tenants tell us that's because the property owner has not paid the water bill.
And just give us some water. That's all we asking for, water.
These outside companies, investors now, they pay their taxes, but they don't keep the properties up.
Property records show a lender foreclosed on the former owner earlier this year and became the property of Debco Associates, LLC, out of New York. That's the owner Memphis Code Enforcement put on a citation at the property Thursday, calling for the water to be restored by Friday morning. Records show late last month, ownership of the buildings moved to Pendleton Court Holdings, LLC, a newly created Tennessee corporation. In the meantime, Yancey and her neighbors are left high and dry, literally.
We call, they don't fix nothing. They don't do anything. They done dug up holes. We have plumbing issues. We have everything. Now we don't even have water, period.
Shelby County Assessor of Property, Melvin Burgess, has been sounding the alarm about out-of-town owners who are often slow to address problems.
It's something that we're working on. It's not going to be a quick fix, Dominique, but we are working. We have a plan on the table.
For example, he wants to allow homeowners associations the ability to zone their neighborhoods.
If they can get that area zoned, meaning they would say, hey, look, we only want so many rental properties in our neighborhood.
As for Yancey, she simply wants water to run freely for her and her neighbors once again.
Water is the most important thing we need to drink because these people over here are older, elderly people that stays right here. We watch out for each other.
We would get together and say, where is the food? Like, don't leave no stone left unturned. Where is it? USDA has it, farmers have it.
Mid-South Food Bank CEO Kathy Pope says they started planning for an expected surge in need weeks ahead of the pandemic shutdown last winter.
And we knew we had to have more food in the door. Because our warehouse would have been empty after the first week.
The need for nourishment skyrocketed. People like Lily Manning suddenly found themselves in need.
I'm by myself now.
Miss Manning was first in line, hours ahead of a mobile pantry in South Haven recently. She lost her husband during the pandemic.
We've been married 55 years. And I miss him very, very much. And I thank God for the peoples, for giving the peoples what needed, some food.
It has saved my life.
Musette Mitchell says she used to work for the group hosting this mobile pantry. She realized she had to get help when her 5 grandchildren moved in.
And they have fed us the whole time of the pandemic.
Meat, vegetables, fruit, bread, desserts. Pre-pandemic, the food bank had 60 mobile pantries a month. Now it has 200. It takes an army of volunteers to move the 5.5 million pounds of food every month. The food bank distributes to people in more than 30 counties across 3 states, and they're constantly looking for sources for fresh food. Much of what you see here comes from grocery stores donating food before it expires.
And then we're able to check it for food safety and get it out the door very quickly.
That's why you need a lot of volunteers.
That's why we need a lot of volunteers.
People like this woman who sort it out and then here at the pantry help distribute it.
Absolutely. Yep.
We got 4 over there.
Those on the front line fear it may be a while before demand dies down to pre-pandemic levels.
I mean, like restaurant people, for instance. It's not unusual to see a lot of people who had that type of job coming through here because they don't have the extra hours that they need to make ends meet.
The challenge is to keep finding new sources for donations of food and money, while more Mid-Southerners are food insecure.
Never thought they would need it, have never needed it before, have always provided for themselves. And what it's really done is put a light on the consistent need for food in our community anyway. Before COVID, we had a huge food insecurity here, and of course now it's increased.
It's hard to tell your child, I'm sorry, this is all we have.
You can help by donating as little as $10.
Every $10 we can provide 30 meals. We can stretch a dollar better than anybody.
Or volunteer. It takes at least 20 volunteers to distribute 500 meals at a mobile pantry, and more are needed in the warehouse almost every day.